Ali Hosseini Khamenei, also known as the Supreme Leader of Iran. It is 4:58 in the morning in Tehran. You are 86 years old. You have ruled Iran for 36 years, longer than most people's careers, longer than most marriages. You have outlasted sanctions, 3 US presidents, 2 uprisings, and a dozen assassination threats. Tonight, you are in your office inside a government compound north of the city. The streets outside are quiet. Then the ground shakes. The first Israeli airstrike hits a military site 2 kilometers away. Your security detail starts shouting. Your phone rings. It is the IRGC commander. He tells you the Americans are coordinating the strikes. You always believed this day might come. You had a plan, a route to Moscow, a private jet, allies who would shelter you. But there is no time for any of that. The second strike is closer. The windows crack. Dust falls from the ceiling. Your detail grabs your arm and pushes you into the corridor. You have survived attempts before. In 1981, a bomb destroyed your right arm and killed the president beside you. You survived that. But this is not one man with a bomb. This is satellite intelligence, synchronized airstrikes, and 2 world powers aimed at a single target. You. The third strike is direct. At 5 a.m., Iranian state TV confirms the supreme leader is martyred. 37 years of absolute power ended before sunrise. Muammar Muhammad Abu Minyar al-Gaddafi, simply known as Gaddafi, October 20th, 2011. You are 69 years old. You're crouching inside a concrete drainage pipe. This is what 42 years of ruling Libya has come down to. A highway drainage ditch outside the city of Sirte. You're wearing a gold robe. You have a pistol. You have lost everything else. The NATO jets that circled overhead for months destroyed your convoy an hour ago. The rebels found the pipe. They are pulling the cover away. You hold up your hands. You ask them not to shoot. The man who once had political opponents electrocuted in vats of acid is now begging rebels half his age to spare his life. They drag you across the gravel. A mobile phone captures everything. You are disoriented, bleeding, surrounded by a crowd screaming for your death. You beg. You plead. You ask, "What did I do to you?" The answer, for millions of Libyans, is a list that takes decades to read. You are shot on the road. Your body is loaded into a pickup truck. For 4 days, Libyans line up at a meat storage facility in Misrata to see your corpse with their own eyes. The man who made his enemies disappear is given no dignified disappearance of his own. Saddam Hussein, December 30th, 2006. You are 69 years old. You are standing on a wooden platform in a low-lit room in Baghdad. The rope is around your neck. It's 6 a.m. You asked for a cigarette before they brought you in. They denied you. The guards in ski masks are Shia men. You spent decades massacring Shia communities across Iraq. You can feel the hatred in the room. A camera phone is recording from somewhere behind you. You know this. You refuse to show fear. You recite the Shahada. You keep your eyes open and your chin level. One of the guards taunts you about Muqtada al-Sadr, the Shia cleric. You respond with contempt. The trapdoor opens at 6:10 a.m. Your body drops. The footage leaks to the world within hours. 3 years earlier, US soldiers found you at the bottom of a 9-foot hole near Tikrit, a spider hole in the dirt. $750,000 in cash beside you. The man who gassed entire Kurdish villages. The man who had his sons-in-law executed for defecting. The man who built a personal torture chamber beneath his son's palace. All of that power compressed into a man hiding underground in the dark. The throne gives you everything except somewhere to go when it falls. Slobodan Milošević, March 11th, 2006. You are 64 years old. You are alone in a cell in The Hague, the Netherlands, the United Nations War Crimes Tribunal. You have been here for 5 years, 300 witnesses, 66 counts, genocide in Bosnia, ethnic cleansing in Kosovo, mass graves, Srebrenica, 200,000 dead. Your trial is the longest in the history of international criminal law. You are also your own defense lawyer. You cross-examine every witness yourself. You dismiss the entire court as an illegal political instrument. You drag the proceedings out deliberately. They cannot convict you if the trial never ends. You know this. You complain about heart problems, blood pressure. You write letters to the court demanding transfer to Moscow for medical treatment. The judges deny you. Then the toxicology report comes back. A medication is found in your blood that your doctors never prescribed. A drug that counteracts your heart medicine. Some believe you were taking it yourself to force a transfer. Some believe someone else was supplying it. No one ever finds out. On March 11th, a guard opens your cell at 9 a.m. You are on your bed. You do not respond. Heart failure. The families of 200,000 dead people never get their verdict. Nicolae Ceaușescu, December 25th, 1989. It is Christmas Day. You are 71 years old. You are standing against a wall in a military courtyard in Targovest. 48 hours ago, you were at a podium in Bucharest. You had ruled Romania for 24 years. The crowd of 100,000 below you was supposed to cheer. They booed instead. Nobody had ever booed you before. You froze at the microphone. You looked confused.
Huh?
Then the crowd stormed the building. You and your wife Elena fled by helicopter from the rooftop. You were captured the same evening. Soldiers drove you to a military base. What happened next lasted 2 hours. A military tribunal, 2 judges, 1 prosecutor, and a defense attorney given no time to prepare. The charges: genocide, sabotage of the state, destruction of the Romanian economy. You called the trial unconstitutional. You refused to recognize the court's authority. You said the Romanian constitution protected you. Nobody was listening. The verdict was death. They walked you and Elena out into the courtyard. You asked to be shot standing, not kneeling. The paratroopers obliged. 6 bullets each. Romania had waited 24 years for that moment. They finished it in 122 seconds. Pol Pot. April 15th, 1998. You are 73 years old. You are dying in a bamboo house deep in the jungle on the Thai-Cambodian border. You do not look like a man who killed 2 million people. You are thin and small on a wooden cot. A radio on the nightstand is broadcasting news of your upcoming extradition to a war crimes tribunal. You ran Cambodia between 1975 and 1979. You evacuated every city in the country. You called it Year Zero. You wanted to erase all history and rebuild from nothing. You killed anyone with an education. Doctors, teachers, lawyers, anyone who wore glasses, anyone who spoke a foreign language. 1/4 of Cambodia's entire population dead in 4 years. 1 month ago, a journalist named Nate Thayer was brought to your jungle compound for an interview. You told him you had a clear conscience. You said you never did anything wrong. You said you were only trying to help your people. On April 15th, your wife finds you dead on the cot. The radio is still on. 6 days away from being handed to an international court, you are gone. No trial. No verdict, no sentence. The most prolific mass murderer of the 20th century died in bed. Some call it a heart attack. Some call it a choice. Joseph Stalin, March 5th, 1953. You are 74 years old. You are lying on the floor of your private dining room at the Kuntsevo dacha. Nobody comes. You lie there for hours. You suffered a massive stroke sometime in the night of March 1st. You collapse somewhere between the dinner table and the door. You cannot speak. You cannot stand. Your left hand is clenched in a fist. The guards outside hear nothing unusual. They dare not enter without being summoned. You have built 25 years of absolute terror. You executed your closest friends. You purged your top military generals on the eve of the most important war in Soviet history. You sent 1.5 million people to die in the gulags. Every man in your orbit lives in permanent fear that tomorrow is his last day. That same fear is killing you right now. Nobody checks on you. Nobody calls a doctor. When a servant finally pushes the door open the next morning and finds you on the floor, your security team enters and stares at each other. Nobody moves quickly. You die on March 5th, 4 days after the stroke. Beria, your secret police chief, reportedly walked out of your death room and announced to the others, "I did it. I saved all of you." The man who terrorized hundreds of millions died alone on a cold floor because no one in the building dared to open a door. Benito Mussolini, April 28th, 1945. You are 61 years old. You are standing against a low stone wall at the gates of Villa Belmonte, on the shore of Lake Como. You had a plan. You loaded stolen gold and documents into a German military convoy and headed for Switzerland. The partisan fighters caught you at a roadblock in the village of Dongo. You were hiding in the back of a truck under a German military overcoat. Italy's founding fascist. The man who turned a generation into instruments of conquest. The man who declared war on the Allied world. Found crouching under a coat. A communist partisan named Luigi Longo gave the order. You were shot 11 times at 4:10 p.m., your mistress Clara Petacci beside you. Then your body was driven to Milan, to a gas station on the Piazzale Loreto. They hung you upside down from the roof of the filling station, Petacci beside you. The crowd came for hours. They threw vegetables, they spat, they photographed themselves standing next to the body. Adolf Hitler, April 30th, 1945. It is 3:30 in the afternoon. You are 56 years old. You are 8 meters underground in a reinforced concrete bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery in Berlin. The Red Army is less than 500 meters from this building. You can hear the artillery through the walls. You have been in this bunker for 4 months. You refused every order to leave. Yesterday, you married Eva Braun in a brief civil ceremony at midnight. This morning, you said goodbye to your remaining staff in a final handshake line. Your hands were shaking. You shuffled instead of walked. The man who once stood before 1 million people at Nuremberg now looked like a man already dead. You ate spaghetti and salad for your last meal. You walked to your private study. Eva sat beside you on the sofa. She bit down on a cyanide capsule. You raised the Walter pistol to your right temple. The gunshot was heard immediately by your valet outside the door. Your aides carried your body and Eva's up to the garden above. They poured jerry cans of gasoline over both of you and set them alight. The bodies burned for 3 hours in the shell crater.